Time now for sports on 104.7 The Cave. Here's Ned Reynolds.
Mike, the intern Ned Reynolds, back in the studio on a Thursday morning. So yesterday, Major League Baseball was supposedly, or at least supposed to, get things done. And if they didn't, we miss more series, we miss more games. Ned, tell me something good.
Can't.
Damn it!
Can't do it because there is nothing good. This is utterly absurd. These blind fools can't see the forest because the trees are in the way. Of all the stupid things, and this is utterly stupid, the contract negotiations broke down because Major League Baseball wants an international draft, and the players do not want it. Who cares? The fans, both sides are very funny. It strikes a humorous bone in my body. We love the fans. We think they're the greatest fans in the world. Really? Do you think we're that stupid to believe that? If you did, you'd be playing baseball right now. But oh no, they're arguing and having acrimony over Y-E-G-O. Each side wants to say, I beat you this time, or I'm the strongest. This is absurd. And if no fans go back, and Ned Reynolds is one of them, I can't blame them one little bit. This is as stupid a situation as has ever existed, and it may continue.
So they've got the money thing figured out, supposedly?
They're closing in on that, and they've come to pretty much an agreement on what should be divvied up as far as money, and now it's another item. And it's always going to be another item here, another item there. Why? Because one side wants to beat the other. It's as simple as that.
Well, then they don't care about the greatest fan base in the world. And if they're that great, they're moving on. Stop gaslighting your fans, baseball. Ned is also actually a pretty big tennis fan, so let's talk about that and get you in a better mood. Well, with the exception of the fact that one of the best in the world's not going to be playing this weekend.
Not one of the best in the world. He is the best in the world. Novak Djokovic, he will not be playing. This is a pretty big tournament. The Paribas Open out in Indian Wells in California. It's a very big deal. It starts pretty much the spring and summer circuit for the pros. Of course, they go to France for the French Open, go to Wimbledon for the All England Tennis Championships, to come here for the U.S. Championships. But in between, there are major money-making events going on, and this is one of them. And Novak Djokovic will not be playing because he refuses to be vaccinated, and under the United States protocol, he cannot enter this country. So he's out. He says, nope, not going to do it. I'm going to stick to my guns, which he can afford to do that. Well, he's pretty wealthy. But the fact is that tournament out in Indian Wells, California, and it's played, Mike, this is interesting, it's played in a 22,000-seat stadium, which is where the NBA, in the very unusual times when they want to play outdoors, that's where they play because it's so perfect. This is where they have that Paribas tournament, and it is a biggie. Rafael Nadal is probably the one to beat right now, but to rob the fans because of this, well, that's Djokovic's issue, and that's the way it's going to be.
Well, and the thing that sucks about that, it's not the money, it's time. I mean, he's not young anymore, and his years of making a run for doing some great things are coming to an end. I mean, we all think we're invincible, and I'm sure he thinks he's probably more invincible than most.
Well, he's mid-30s, and he is still a very good player. He's in great shape and all that sort of thing, but again, politics enters into it. He doesn't want to get vaccinated, so he's not going to.
Well, it'll be interesting to see who gets the dub now. Let's talk about Mizzou basketball. They had a pretty good game last night, didn't they?
They did. They win their first-round game in the Southeastern Conference Tournament, which is being played in Tampa. They being the Tigers, Conzo Martin's team, beats Ole Miss 72-60. That's a very nice win for Missouri. All right, they advance. They advance to this afternoon. When you're in the lower rounds and you're playing out of those lower-seeded teams, you play every single day. That's where you pay the penalty for it. So this afternoon, Missouri will play LSU, and LSU kicked their behinds pretty good just a couple of weeks ago. So it'll be tough for Conzo's team, but at least he did get one win out of it.
Well, at least we got basketball to watch, and we got plenty of it coming up in the next few weeks. The madness starts next week, so a lot of things happening this weekend with the tournaments, and then the big show next week. So big news this week, obviously, Aaron Rodgers signs for just more money than you and I could ever imagine. And then, of course, as soon as that happens, the Broncos make a trade with Seattle to get Russell Wilson. But that wasn't all this week.
Oh, and the Broncos one, of course, was a stopgap. If they weren't going to get Rodgers, and you can tell from the timing, an hour later they get Russell Wilson. That was a big deal. Well, there was another one yesterday, certainly not in the blockbuster category that the Broncos and the Seahawks pulled off, but still the Indianapolis Colts and the Washington Commanders. That is their new name, folks, the Washington Commanders. I would have preferred they stayed with the Washington football team.
I kind of liked it after a while. I thought it was kind of cool. I mean, at first you're like, "Oh, that's the best you can come up with." Then you're like, "Well, actually, I kind of like that."
Except that if you're in the Navy, that's a downgrade. Commander is not captain. It's not admiral. It's commander. I'm just a little surprised at that. But be that as it may, Carson Wentz. Carson Wentz goes to his third team in less than 2 years. He was with the Philadelphia Eagles, last year with the Indianapolis Colts. He's now with the Washington Commanders. Wentz didn't have all that bad a year. Threw for, I think, over 3,500 yards and 27 touchdowns, but the Colts didn't figure that he is the answer to their problems. So they traded him and didn't recede from the Commanders. Indianapolis gets a couple of third-round draft choices and a second-round draft choice, but now they have a quarterback situation. They're going to have to do some dealing of their own because they don't have a top-flight starting quarterback on their roster right now. They'll make a deal somewhere along the line. A little surprise, though, Carson Wentz to Washington.
Being a guy that flies the green and white, I'm sure you will follow him a little bit closely than most, at least in this area. What do you think about him as far as gas left in the tank?
Well, he's just a kid. By kid, he's, I guess, middle-aged by NFL standards.
he's turning 50.
he can still play, but Philadelphia unloaded him, and they took Jalen Hurts.
Yep.
And Hurts is doing the quarterbacking now. I have to wonder if there aren't some problems with Wentz. Wentz had shoulder surgery, I think, over a year ago, if I'm not mistaken. And I thought had a pretty good year with Indianapolis. Why, I don't know. That's the inner workings of the NFL. But the fact is, I think he's now playing in the same division with Philadelphia again. Philadelphia, Dallas, New York Giants, and the Washington Commanders. That'll be interesting.
It'll be interesting for sure. So we were pretty high up on the Drury baseball team this season. They were just hitting the cover off the ball, scoring so much. Really, really nice run of wins. But yesterday they definitely had a test against Central Missouri. Did they pass it?
No, they did not. It was a test of reality, too. And here comes Central Missouri, which is ranked 21 in America. Drury is ranked 28th at the start of this game. Oh, boy, they threw the first pitch. That wasn't a good thing because Central Missouri scored 10 runs in the first inning, had another big 6-run inning, another 5-run inning, and Central Missouri beat Drury 24-11. And it was 24 hits for the Mules in accumulating those 24 runs. That's a lot. Central Missouri is pretty good. I think Drury is pretty good. They can hit the ball. They scored 11 runs against the Warrensburg team, but nonetheless, you give up 24 and you've given up a lot. Anyway, 24-11, and now Drury goes on the road for the first time. They go down to Texas to play Angelo State. That'll be this weekend. That's a 3-game series. And Angelo State's pretty good. We're going to find out now what the Drury team really is made of. I think they are pretty good. I think they'll come out okay in this series. But that was a tough one to absorb yesterday.
No snow in Texas, though, right?
They're better doggone well not be.
Well, there gets to be some here today, tomorrow. So we got the state championships here in town tomorrow. A lot of kids going to be slushing and sloshing all the way into the JQH Arena, aren't they?
But that'll be the 1s and 2s, and the 3s will play for the championship tomorrow. It actually begins today at noontime, and it's the Class 3 girls that begin things. West County will play South Shelby. That's at noontime. And then in the 2 o'clock game, one that has tremendous interest, Stratford against El Dorado Springs, and that's the 2 o'clock. Then the boys take over. At 4 o'clock, Charleston from down in your former part of the country against Duchesne. And at 6 o'clock, Thayer meets Lafayette County. That's all today. These are the Class 3 semifinals, JQH Arena. 1 and 2 have their semifinals tomorrow. 3 has their championship. Then the other 2 have their championships on Saturday. Hopefully on Friday and Saturday they don't have to slosh too much.
Me too. Well, Ned, we'll be sloshing here tomorrow. I'll see you then. Have a great day, sir.